We are going to learn on agriculture. This is for class 8, chapter 8, agriculture. Your textbook contains 94 to 110 pages, almost 16 pages. It has 34 images depicting all the agricultural activities, and there are 8 tabular information including exercises. I wish that all of you go through this textbook and learn. Whatever presentation we have given here will only give you some additional information. Therefore, concentrate upon your textbooks. In this particular presentation, I am presenting you concept of agriculture, meaning of agriculture, lands used in agriculture, implements in agriculture, agricultural activities, types of cultivation, farmers, and other things. Types of cultivation and farmers, we will do it in the agricultural activities 2 of this presentation. Agriculture and economy of India. The word agri means field, an open field. Any activity that happens in the open field is said to be agriculture. The history of agriculture in India dates back to Indus Valley civilization, and agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for almost 58% of Indian population. Agriculture has allied sciences like animal husbandry, forestry, fisheries, which add to our economy. The economic contribution of agriculture to India's GDP is steadily declining due to industrialization and real estate activities. The meaning of agriculture. Agriculture is the science and art of cultivating plants and livestock. History of agriculture began thousands of years ago after gathering wild grains, beginning about 105,000 years ago. The nascent or the beginning farmer began to plant the crops around 11,500 years ago, and he started rearing pigs, sheep, and cattle, and they were domesticated about 10,000 years ago. That's how the agriculture began. You study this in your history. Plants were independently cultivated in at least 11,000 regions of the world. Industrial agriculture based on large-scale monoculture. Monoculture means one single crop. In the 20th century came to dominate agricultural output. Though about 2 billion people still depend upon intensive and subsistence agriculture in 21st century. Allied branches of agriculture include this is the farming and cattle rearing and monoculture, tissue culture research, and farming of animals, and also cultivating plants, and industrial production of crops. Forestry is shown here, and here the agricultural scientists studying the various types of activities. Water for agriculture is taken out from the things, and irrigation scientists are trying to find out how to water the plants. And here is the monoculture. Here is the food packaging industry, and a large number of industrial food industry has started because of agriculture. The modern equipment used in the agriculture and the fruticulture or the production of fruits. Now, tools in agriculture vary. Now, these are some of the implements used by farmers where they have very small plots or very small land. And here also is used for gardening and other purposes where people used to use for agriculture. And today's agricultural activities and implements are very different. What we see in the other slide is the earlier methods of doing. Today modern agriculture has tractors, and attached to tractors many implements are there in the agricultural activity. Now lands used for agriculture is dedicated only to produce the plants and agricultural activities. It's called agricultural lands. No residential activity is permitted in the agricultural land. No industries are also permitted, may be used, maybe land may be dry or wet for agricultural purposes. Agricultural land has been classified in two types in India: rain-fed agricultural land and irrigated land. Rain-fed means where no additional water source is possible, they have to depend only upon the rain. And irrigated means wherever there is water that is in the form of dams and canals, wells, etc. There it's called irrigated by irrigated lands. Now there are two types of lands are shown here. This is the dry land, depending upon the water from the rain source. Here is an agriculture. This is also the same thing, where people will have to wait for the rains to come. This is called rain-fed agricultural land. Rain-fed agricultural land and agricultural land which falls under falls under the rainfall and which requires less water. Rain-fed cultivation is also called kushki or dry land cultivation. Irrigated agricultural land, water is important and it's the wealth for farmers. Cultivation of crops is impossible without water. Rainwater is the main source of water for many people, but once the dams are constructed, people use the water from canals. A cultivated plant that is grown on the large scale commercially, especially a cereal, a fruit, a vegetable, they are all cultivated plants. Example for that, paddy, sugarcane, maize, cotton, ragi and jawar. Ragi and jawar are mostly grown in the dry or what we call rain-fed agricultural lands. Even cotton is used in the rain-fed things, whereas paddy and sugarcane are grown in irrigated lands. Chili crops and grapes, fruits, tomato crops are all grown today, and the special care is taken to grow single type of plant, what's called the monoculture. Agricultural activities includes mainly ploughing, sowing, watering, manuring and harvesting. This is what you have to learn for your examination. They will ask you a question about these areas. In simple way, preparing soil is nothing but ploughing. Ploughing means you use the agricultural implement and loosen the soil so that soil gets aerated and gets supply of rich oxygen. Putting seeds is called sowing of the seeds. Sowing is done depending upon the type of the crop you are getting. Then watering the soil comes, and that's called irrigation. Either it is rain-fed or by rainwater or by canal water. When once these plants start growing, germination starts, then you have to take care of the young plant by using fertilizers and manure. Then when this plants start growing, you have to take care of the crop, weeding, that means removing the unwanted plants, spraying medicines to stop the disease or anything for the plants. When once the plant grows and the yield comes, then you have to cut the things and then you have to remove the seeds from the plant. It's called harvesting. Then you have to dry it out, then you have to store. The earlier method of ploughing was using the bulls. This farmer is using the bulls here to prepare his land. In this one, the modern agricultural people use the tractors for ploughing and preparing the land. This is also another machine where the soil is loosened and aerated, ready for sowing. It is called ploughing. And here the farmer is using the seeds in the hand. Earlier methods, they were used to throw the seeds such a way that very near to, by practice, the people know how many seeds they must hold in the hand and throw it at what distance. It requires a practice. Today man uses the machine so that you can see the equidistance is given and the seeds are stored here and the machine moves very slowly and the rows seeds are sown here. This is the modern method of sowing the seed. Apart from rain, water is supplied to seeds, maybe from the canals, from the wells, and from the bore wells. When once the seeds are sown, water is used, and that is called irrigation. Here, canal is used. That means from a water source, water is taken from canals and water is fed to the plants. In this picture, we see the spraying method. Modern days use the electrical machines and the pumps and take the pipe. Instead of wasting water in the canal, they spray as much as we require. This is called drip irrigation, the latest method. Even spraying may lose water. Here they use pipes and they use only drops of water to the growing seedlings. Water is not wasted in this kind of a practice. So three types of irrigation is there. The question may be asked in the examination. Be careful about it. Plants requires additional food because growing plants require nitrates, phosphates, minerals, and these are supplied in the form of manure and fertilizers. A fertilizer is a natural or it may be artificial. Manure is called the natural one. Synthetic one is called the manure. And natural manure is taken from the dead and decaying matter. That's called organic manure. Artificial manure is used by the chemicals. It is normally called fertilizers. Both are used in the plant protection and plant growth. Now fertilizers are shown here. There are different types of fertilizers and this is the natural one that is taken from the dead and decaying matter. This is normally called organic manure and a large number of materials are added to the fertilizer. This is the compost means what's shown here. A dead and decaying matter are added into the soil and that becomes a compost manure. And there are different types of those things and you may have to study them in a special way. Different methods of harvesting. When once the plant grows and yield is come, they take out the plant like this. This is the fully grown plant and they take the plant and they beat and the seeds are separated. That is the earlier method of doing it. Another method was using the stones. They roll up the stones on the plants and seeds are separated. Here the farmers are now beating and on the land and this will give you seeds. Today the large machines are used for harvesting. They take the machine where the plants are grown and automatically the seeds are all taken out and supplied into the stored in this harvesting machine. I am grateful to the images I have taken from the internet, from the common creative internet activity. I am grateful to them. I am grateful to students also who would like to use it. I request you to read your book